never thought I had a stalker. At first, it felt like a coincidence. Every morning when I left for work, I noticed the same man standing across the street. He wore a dark jacket and a black baseball cap. He never spoke, never waved. He just watched. The first few times, I ignored him. People stand around all the time. But then I started seeing him everywhere. At the coffee shop near my office. At the gas station. At the grocery store. Always at a distance. Always watching. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he just lived nearby. Maybe he worked in the same area. Maybe there was a perfectly normal explanation. Then one night, things changed. I woke up around 2:30 in the morning. I don't know why. The room was silent. For some reason, I looked toward my bedroom window and froze. A face was staring at me from outside. The man. His eyes were fixed directly on me. My apartment was on the first floor. He was standing inches from the glass, not moving, not blinking, just staring. My entire body locked up. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then he smiled. Slowly. A long, unnatural smile. I grabbed my phone. The moment I looked down to call 911, he disappeared. I rushed to the window. The parking lot was empty. There was nobody there. No footsteps. No sound. Nothing. Police searched the area but found no one. The next day, I installed security cameras. That night, one of them captured footage. At 3:11 a.m., the man walked into view. He approached my bedroom window, stood there for nearly 20 minutes, then looked directly into the camera, and smiled. The police finally identified him a week later. What terrified me most wasn't who he was. It was what they found in his car. Dozens of photographs. Pictures of me leaving work. Pictures of me shopping. Pictures of me entering my apartment. The oldest photo was taken nearly 8 months before I ever noticed him. He had been watching me for almost a year, and I never knew. I used to take the last train home every Friday night. The route was usually empty. Most passengers got off long before my stop. One evening, I noticed a man sitting at the far end of the carriage. Nothing unusual. Until he got off at my station. I walked toward my apartment. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps behind me. Steady. Slow. Matching my pace. When I sped up, the footsteps sped up. When I slowed down, they slowed down. I turned around. The same man from the train. He immediately looked away, pretending to check his phone. I convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe he lived nearby. Maybe I was overreacting. But the next Friday, he was on the train again. Same seat. Same stare. Same station. And once again, he followed me. This continued for weeks. Every Friday. Always the same. I reported it to transit security. Unfortunately, they couldn't do much. The man never threatened me. Never approached me. Never spoke. He simply followed. One night, I decided to test something. Instead of going home, I walked in random directions. Left. Right. Across several neighborhoods. For almost 40 minutes, the man followed every turn. Every single one. At that point, there was no doubt. He wasn't heading home. He was following me. I ducked into a crowded convenience store and called police. The officers arrived quickly. But when they checked outside, the man was gone. Vanished. As if he'd never been there. Several days later, police contacted me. They had reviewed dozens of security cameras. The footage showed the man following me for nearly 6 months. Not just on Fridays. On multiple days every week. Sometimes from work. Sometimes from the gym. Sometimes from restaurants. He had built an entire routine around my life. The worst part? Nobody ever identified him. To this day, I don't know who he was, or why he chose me. The first note appeared on a Monday morning. It was taped to my apartment door. It simply said, "I like your smile." No name. No explanation. I assumed it was a joke. I threw it away. The next morning, another note appeared. "I saw you come home late." That made me uncomfortable, but I still tried to laugh it off. Then came a third note. I think red looks better on you than blue. My stomach dropped. The day before, I had changed clothes after work. Nobody should have known that, unless they had been watching. I contacted building management. They checked security footage. Nothing. No clear suspect. No useful evidence. The notes continued. Every day. Some were friendly. Others felt threatening. I know when you're alone. I know which apartment is yours. I know your schedule. I stopped sleeping properly. Every noise made me jump. Every stranger looked suspicious. Then one evening, I arrived home and found a small box outside my door. Inside was a photograph, a picture of me sleeping in my bedroom, taken from inside my apartment. I nearly collapsed. Police were called immediately. Officers searched the apartment. They eventually discovered a hidden camera. It had been installed in an air vent. The investigation led to a horrifying discovery. The stalker wasn't a stranger. It was a maintenance worker from the building. Someone who had entered my apartment dozens of times over the years. Someone I greeted in the hallway. Someone I trusted. He had copied my keys, installed cameras, and monitored my life for months. The police arrested him the following week. Even now, years later, I still check every lock twice before bed. Because the scariest thing about a stalker isn't knowing they're watching. It's realizing how long they've been watching before you find out.